Movies. Americans spend billions of dollars each year watching excitement, movement, and emotion, all on the big screen. What brought the film industry to its current place in American culture today? When thinking about movies, star power, and film all together, everyone thinks Hollywood. But stars didn't sprout from the warm soil of California. They came from Essanay. Although short-lived in Chicago, the presence of the Essanay Film Manufacturing Company in the 1910s left its mark on the film industry. Essanay produced quality pieces, optimizing the use of technology at the time, jump-started the careers of many of today's well-known actors and actresses, such as Charlie Chaplin, and proved itself to be just as important as Hollywood. With the growth of industry in the 1900s, people found more ways for function as well as entertainment. Film used to be boring, very documentary-like, often lacking originality and character that audiences longed to see. Those involved in that film industry held the mentality that films produced were merely products, not at all valuable, products of man and nothing more. However, George Spohr sought to change this. Spohr envisioned film becoming an art. In an article published in the Moving Picture World, Spohr predicted, "As an art, the moving picture will take its place equally with the other arts." Indeed, it did. In 1907, Spohr, along with Gilbert M. Bronco Billy Anderson, formed the Peerless Film Manufacturing Company, later renamed as what is commonly known as Essanay. S for Spohr, A for Anderson, a name fit for their partnership. At the beginning, the quality of film topics for the decade did not comprehend with advances in equipment. Thomas Edison originally patented the kinetograph and kinetoscope in 1891. However, he did not see great commercial value in these inventions. Spohr, in turn, was inspired by the machine and later developed equipment for showing films to theater audiences. Armed with the right equipment, Spohr and Anderson, mavericks of the industry, began filming a new genre, comedies. With the success of their first film, An Awful Skate, the studio eventually billed itself as the home of comedy hits. Soon Spohr and Anderson decided to construct a larger facility for their budding business. Covering over 72,000 square feet, the complex was comprised of several 1- and 2-story common brick buildings housing the various activities necessary for filmmaking. With abundance of equipment and knowledge, Essanay offered an environment where performers learned more than acting. One actress, Beverly Bay, explained,
"In the silent movies, we didn't learn lines. We learned a story's continuity and how to put ideas across with expressions and gestures."
Silent movies had no place for words. We had to let people all over the world know what we meant when we shook a fist or smiled or breathed deeply, admitted another actor, Francis Bushman. Essanay gave opportunity to budding performers, showcasing their talent. Often their time with the company led them into more successful careers with Essanay or sometimes often elsewhere. Known as one of Essanay's star performers, Charlie Chaplin struck gold at Essanay. Coming from Keystone, Chaplin brought great energy to the scene. Contrary to his fame in Chicago, Chaplin actually disliked Essanay and grew impatient with the city's variable, cold weather. But through Essanay, Chaplin was able to explore his creative side and take it one step further. During his time with Essanay, Chaplin directed comedies, learning more about production at the same time, while simultaneously defining his slapstick comedy style when acting. Stars came and went. In fact, Chaplin only filmed one movie, His New Job, at Essanay's studio in Chicago. The rest were in the West. Pay was another fickle thing in the movie industry. At Keystone, Chaplin was paid a meager $150 per week. No wonder Chaplin initially came to Essanay in a heartbeat after being offered $1,250 per week. In the 1910s, loyalty between an actor and his company meant nothing. In 1916, Chaplin left Essanay for Mutual, getting paid a whopping $10,000 a week. You see, the public found it easier to fall in love with people, actors and actresses, rather than companies. This was one of the things that Louella Parsons noticed. Praised as one of Hollywood's greatest personalities, Louella Parsons started off small, writing scenarios for Essanay. On the big screen, actors were stars, driven to please their audiences. But behind the scenes, Parsons knew what the public was not supposed to know. When she left Essanay, Parsons decided to capitalize on her experience and contacts at Essanay. She proposed this idea to her boss, William Handy of the Record Herald.
How about a column about movie stars? What they're like off the screen, whom they go with, what they wear.
And with a thumbs up, movie gossip journalism was born. In addition to the birth of tabloids and movie gossip, Essanay did its best to keep up with the American audience's interests. So of course, the company had its own set of twins, Ida and Ella Mackenzie, as well as their fair share of child actors and actresses. Essanay's most famous child star was Mary McAllister, with a moving picture classic in 1917 naming her as one of the most versatile and talented child actresses. Unlike most early child stars, McAllister's career in acting extended throughout the 1920s. Unfortunately, as stated in Cup Chicago, Chicago will always be a grooming ground for its hordes of talent, which will soon find its way to greener pastures of Broadway and Hollywood. But before the film industry took off to the west, the scene in Chicago was a glimpse of what was to come. Frustrated with the Midwestern winters, Bronco Billy Anderson, co-founder of Essanay, made most of his films in the West, in Niles, California, where Essanay would build a second studio after 1909. Although the Bronco Billy pictures were made in California, stars Francis Bushman, Gloria Swanson, and Wallace Beery were an authentic part of the Chicago movie scene. Their lives in Chicago seemed to preview the Hollywood lifestyle of the future. Even though the film producers of Chicago led the way westward in search of landscape and sunshine, nobody, it seemed, stayed put in one place all the time. When it came to the point where the majority of Essanay's movies were filmed in the West, the Chicago studio location was still significant, because all the film continued to be shipped back from the Niles location to Chicago to get processed and eventually distributed. While the West had its strength in climate, the Midwest yielded power in location concerning distribution. Being in the middle of country, films could be sent to both East and West without much problem. However, distribution alone could not prevent the downfall of Essanay. In 1915, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that all major movie manufacturing companies, particularly the Motion Picture Patents Company, in which Essanay was a part of along with other Chicago movie companies, were violating antitrust laws. This decision opened up the movie industry to other independent filmmakers. In addition to the court case, internal disputes between Anderson and Spohr arose, which led to eventually to Anderson selling his shares of the company to Spohr. The Essanay Film Manufacturing Company remained active in Chicago for 10 years. In 1917, Essanay finally closed its doors. With the migration of film to the West with the lure of warmer weather, constant temperatures, and longer days, Chicago's unpredictability did not fan well with directors. Alas, reduced to simply a doorway with an Indian figure engraved on it, along with old lettering from the past, the building still stands on Argyle Street. These remnants of Essanay and all these things serve as a reminder of not only Chicago's pinnacle moment at the top of the silent film industry, but of the contributions Essanay made to the West, Hollywood, the Windy City, and the whole film industry. Because before there was Hollywood, there was, indeed, Essanay.